All right, so it is time. So today I'm going to be talking about really when the best time to buy sports cars, especially when it comes to NFL, because 90% of people are going to lose money. It's just a foregone conclusion. There's so many people who are just making this common mistake, and they think that the past equals the future, and that's not necessarily the case. Actually, you need to understand that the market is actually trying to figure itself out. People are becoming smarter and they're making different decisions. They're trying different things. People are becoming more speculative in certain things and less in certain things. Normally, when the market is down, less people are buying. When the market is up, more people are trying to buy, obviously. But those people always say, "Oh, buy low and sell high." And when things go up, people just hold to buy to sell at the top. And when you don't really know what the top is, before you could kind of tell when somebody won a championship or you know announced MVP or something like that. But now it's going to be harder. And honestly, you might want to do the opposite. And that's what I'm going to say. Really, it's better to just do the opposite. When somebody wins the championship, unless it is just an absolute shock, like, then you should probably be buying then because everybody's going to be trying to sell, or a lot of people are going to be holding. And when people are actually playing, that's probably when you should buy. And when people are actually not playing, that's when you should actually sell. Sounds crazy. So I'll give you an example of like this NFL season. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to predict exactly what's going to happen. So, right. So basically what happened before was about 2 to 3 weeks before the NFL draft, cards started going up for football because people noticed right when the NFL draft hits, people start getting interested again. So they're trying to beat that. And a lot of people are just trying to flip to make a quick buck and then move on to the next thing. So that happened, NFL draft happened, and people are thinking, oh man, I need to be buying cars and stuff like that. But it's still a long time before the season actually starts. So it's like, what am I going to do? And there's only so much news that's going to be coming out. So it's still middle basketball, baseball season is going on. You got hockey going on. You got other sports and things. And Olympics is going to be coming up. So football isn't the most talked about thing, and there's not as much news and action going on. Yeah, people got drafted, but there's only so much speculation that you can really get into. And none of the 2021 draft class products are out. Like they were still coming out with 2020 products. So the cards, as you see now, things are kind of starting to dip down. There is some fear because basketball is dipping, really because of the playoffs, and people are like, oh, I need to sell during the playoffs. But people are quote unquote smarter now. So honestly, unless it's something just really crazy, most cars aren't really going to go up during the playoffs. And this is definitely going to be true for football. And really what's going to happen is things are going to dip a little bit more. But in June, probably about mid-June, early to mid-June, things are going to really skyrocket again because people are going to be trying to buy up a bunch of cards. And then they're trying to sell in August because they're going to get so much more in August. When really the time to sell is going to be in July. Honestly, the time to sell is probably going to be during the Olympics. That's another thing that's going to, certain cars for Olympic cars are going to go up, and I'll make a separate video about that. But that's really what's going to happen. So people are buying up quarterbacks because they're like, oh, Trevor Lawrence, and he's going to be like Zion. I don't necessarily think he's going to be like Zion. And he's going to a really bad team. And I don't think he's going to be that great off the cuff. And the truth of the matter is, there's not going to be any real products outside of draft pick stuff. And people already know that, like, unless you're a college collector, that stuff isn't really going to be worth much. I mean, people are going to try to play the flip game and, you know, play hot potato, but it's not going to last. It's not going to last at all. The other thing that people don't understand right now is that there are going to be other quarterbacks that are going to emerge. People just figured out that Lamar Jackson stuff was like cheap, and people are buying up Lamar Jackson, and he's probably actually going to have a good season. He's probably going to have a really good season. So he didn't have an MVP this season last year, but he still had a good season. People are sleeping on him. People are sleeping on Kyler Murray, especially the Prism stuff. And people probably haven't found out that like Kyler Murray's select silver prism is higher than his select base prism as far as field level, which is the short print. So basically, a lot of people are going to be holding in August, and they're going to get burned really bad. They're going to be trying to sell a week before, 2 weeks before, when a lot of that stuff is going to stop really going up probably a week or 2 weeks before the season even starts. It's going to probably, you know, during preseason, it's probably going to get all sold. And people are going to have diminished returns or maybe even lose money because they were buying stuff at the peak at June and July, and they're going to be like, what the freak? And then there are going to be certain quarterbacks that, if you hold, are going to do well, but they have to really do well. And people are going to be buying up a bunch of quarterbacks, and I think people recognize that the pop for the newest stuff is really going to go insane, and Patrick Mahomes prices are just is just worth too much. It's just too much of a burden to try to spend $10,000 for, you know, a PSA 10 Prism card or more. So that's really what's going to happen. And I do think wide receivers are going to go up and some quarterbacks are going to go up. But yeah, there's going to be injuries and things such as that. And I think it's going to be similar to what happened in basketball. People are going to go straight into vintage. Vintage is going to go insane. And then you're going to see modern stuff go down. Maybe a few guys that are big are going to go up. Maybe Trevor Lawrence, when the product and stuff is going to be really expensive. But then when the playoffs hit, there are going to be a few guys that are going to go up, but most of those guys are going to get sold off. And really by the time, unless it's just, you know, a team that they thought was going to get beaten a wild card ends up winning the Super Bowl, you're not going to see big bumps. Most of that stuff is going to be probably even cheaper than what it was during the beginning of the season or beginning around the time of the off season. It may be even cheaper than what it was during the draft time. And the second thing is, I think is really going to mess people up is people don't understand like the sophomore slump, or really just young players in general. They play without fans. That's going to mess them up. It's like, oh yeah, they're playing so great, all this blah, 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 blah. But there weren't any fans, and that actually has an effect, right? Like there's a reason why you have home field, home court advantage, and things such as that. And fans actually matter, and it actually puts more pressure. That's why the other team gets energy. That's why you're shouting and cheering at a game for your team, because it's a psychological effect. So these players like Justin Herbert, people are buying up Justin Herbert. He may not look as good as he did his rookie year. People may be really disappointed. There are other people like Tua. He struggled, and he'll probably do a little bit better. But he won't be that impressive. Other guys such as Joe Burrow, he'll probably do decent, but they're not going to be a playoff team, and he's not going to be, he may struggle because he's coming off an injury. And he played enough games for teams to kind of figure you out, and that's the other issue. Defenses, I mean, are trying to figure you out, and they're going to be taking away the things that you do well and really focus on you trying to beat them with your weaknesses. And that same thing happened to Lamar Jackson, and he's going to slowly, I think, going to get better and be able to manage. But I mean, if you see them doing this to Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes and other guys who have games and struggle, what do you think they're going to do to guys who don't have MVPs and championships and things such as that? Josh Allen may take a slight step back. He may not be as impressive as he was last year. So I think people just think, oh, it's just going to be these patterns that's just going to, in some way, yes, but I think new patterns kind of form, and people think exactly the same thing is going to happen. So a recap is, what should you do? If you're buying NFL cards, especially quarterbacks, you should be buying now. And you should be selling by July. July time frame is going to be the best time for you to be selling. And then you should be looking at guys who are going to be decreasing during the regular season so you can buy them up. Who are still playing well or whatever, they're not saying the whole story, buy up their top cards, and then either hold them if you want to hold them long term, and really wait to sell anything until the off season. The playoffs is also a good time to buy, right when they get bounced out, or they're progressing, but people don't think they're going to win a championship. That's when you should really be buying the cards, not trying to, and don't really try to time the market. That's another thing that people need to focus on. But yeah, so comment below if you have any agreements or disagreements, or want me to talk about something else. Comment below. Also, please like and subscribe. My goal is to make daily content, and I really appreciate it.